To another video, and today we are going to take a look at the NFP and kind of look at what we can be expecting from the NFP. If you are new to the channel, a sub would be appreciated, and if you enjoy the video, please smash the like button there as well. Now we are going to look at historical information that makes up the NFP. If you're not sure what the NFP is, it's basically a report that gets released on a monthly basis that tells us whether or not the US has added new jobs since the previous month. So this is last month's report, and also if the unemployment had come down. Also, I'm not here to tell you how to trade the NFP, so I'm not here to tell you to place a buy stop there and a sell stop. That's just an indication. Placing a buy stop and a sell stop before high peak news basically sets you up for a haters call. I mean a margin call. So without any further ado, my friends, let's jump straight into it. Now, before I take you through what my findings are, I do expect the NFP to be negative today. And the reason why I say this, basically, it's purely based off the fact that we saw the Fed had been aggressively hiking their interest rates month over month. We also saw last month, the unemployment claims, the targets were not met, and we could see that week over week. And we're going to look at that data where people kept filing for unemployment benefits, meaning that more people lost their jobs, and as a result of that, they tend to file for unemployment claims, and that's happened throughout the month of June. The month of June. Also note that with interest rates increasing, what tend to happen is the stock market tend to decrease in value. Now, as a result of that, companies listed on the stock exchange is basically companies like Apple, Amazon, and some people actually work at these companies. Now, if these companies are impacted negatively, their valuation drops. As a result of that, they're not making as much money as they would have to sustain employees, and as a result of that, they tend to lay off people, and that negatively impacts the job economy or the labor market in the USA. So as a result of that, we're going to take all these things into consideration, and again, this is just my personal finding. You can let me know down in the comments below what you think the NFP is going to be. Is it going to be positive and negative? Sometimes you have to be specific in saying, the unemployment, or this is going to be negative. Sometimes this comes through higher, and then the unemployment rate still stays the same. Now, firstly, if you look at it from a technical perspective, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this here. But if you look at this from a technical perspective, you can see the dollar index is quite overextended to the upside. So I would not be surprised if this fundamental data comes through negative, just to give the dollar index that correction, because that's the only thing that could get the dollar index to correct itself before some more continuation to the upside. This level here acted as support, resistance, and this is basically an equal high that the market is printing for the first time. So the only way the dollar is going to correct itself is if that unemployment data comes through higher, and that that new jobs added comes through lower as well. Other than that, this thing is just going to increase. But like I said, because we are sitting at a strong structural level, we could expect a pullback, and that is exactly why, from a technical standpoint, I expect the dollar index to be 12, the NFP to be negative there as well. So that is basically it from a technical standpoint. Like I said, I do not want to spend too much time on the charts. So basically that is what I am looking at, and that means and if you look at the all currency pairs trading against the dollar index, you'll see most of them are extended to the downside, and I think a correction is about time that the correction does take place. Next up, we are going to look at the US initial jobless claims, and it just tells us here the number of American filing for new claims for unemployment basically went up by 4,000 to 235,000. And if you look at the forecast for June and July, you'll notice that every time there was a forecast, the targets were not met because it always came through higher than expected. You can see here for June it was 231k and then 235k. It says here that ended in July the 2nd compared to the market expectations of 230k. Then you can see how week over week it tend to come through higher. This article over here from Bloomberg also says US jobless claims rose last week to the highest that it's been since January, and applications for unemployment benefits is now up to 235,000. 4-week moving average higher. And I'm not really Yeah, I don't care about the moving averages. Any case, it says the application for the US unemployment insurance last week rose higher, slightly to the highest since January, suggesting that the strength in the labor market is moderating. Initial unemployment claims increased by 4,000 to 235,000 in the week ending in July. Labor Department data showed Thursday the median estimate in Bloomberg survey of economists call for 230,000 job applications. Now we can see over here. Now, if you, well, that is what the expectations is. So Bloomberg is forecasting for 230,000 jobs, new jobs to have been added. We can see that the forecast is 260,000. The forecast is an investor sentiment, and that they use as a guidance in order to dictate whether or not the US is going to be adding new jobs. And then you also have different banks forecasting their own things using their own information. But you can see the previous was 390,000. They're expecting the US to add 260,000. Bloomberg is expecting them to come through low at 230,000. Coming that through, we could potentially see another 3.6 if we do go up to 3.7. Now, I do expect these numbers to come through lower. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, but I do expect these numbers to come through lower. I also expect the unemployment rate to slightly go up to 3.7 and the average hourly earnings to remain stable at 0.3%. Now that is how we're going to approach the situation over here. Now this will give us an indication in terms of how we can approach the dollar index as well as the stock market going into the new week. And for that, I'll give you guys a beautiful update between tomorrow and Sunday. Now that's all from my side. Thank you for your time, and as always, cheers for the years.